What's up, WBB fans? I am James, and this is another episode of Inside the Cylinder, your home for everything women's basketball. Welcome back, y'all. How's everybody doing out there in WBB land? We are back with another episode, and we have liftoff. The women's college basketball season is officially here. We're going to talk about the power rankings, the first top 10 of the season, players, teams, games to watch, and some macro thoughts about this college season. And also we have liftoff in the WNBA coaching hire department. Of course, Steph White was hired by Indiana, the worst kept secret in the WNBA. She lands with Caitlin Clark, Aaliyah Boston & Co. And then what I thought was bombshell news, Skytown lands Tyler Marsh. If you listened last week, I said Marsh was the number one candidate. He picked Chicago, which I thought was the least attractive destination. But hey, we're talking all about it. So as usual, grab a soda, grab a chair. Let's get it popping. Okay, folks, we're going to run through the top 10 in the power rankings. And then I'm going to go back. I'm going to go through each team, news and notes, kind of macro season expectations. Number 1, South Carolina Gamecocks. Number 2, USC Trojans. Number 3, UConn Huskies. Number 4, Texas Longhorns. 5, the Bruins of UCLA. 6, the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. 7, the Wolfpack of North Carolina State. 8, the Tigers of LSU. 9, the Sooners of Oklahoma. And 10, a little sneaky sleeper, we got the West Virginia Mountaineers. So those are the top 10. Now let's break each team down. Numero uno, can't argue with 38-0 defending champs. They're back on top. You got to have them number one. There's no way you can't have them number one. Listen to this roster. We got Fagan, Fulwiley, we got Hall, we got Raven Johnson, Tessa Johnson, Chloe Kitts, Pow Pow, and we're adding Joyce Edwards to the mix. I mean, that is the deepest, most athletic lineup you could ever ask for. By the way, I love Tessa Johnson. Of all the sophomores, she gets probably the least amount of love, but I love her game as far as it will translate to the WNBA. Especially if she continues her range and her three-point shooting. I mean, I'm talking about no doubt first rounder. I know Fulwiley gets all the publicity from that team specifically with the sophomores because of the highlight plays, and obviously she's great in her own right. But I love me some Tessa Johnson, and I love Chloe Kitts. I think Chloe Kitts is super underrated. At another school, she'd probably be absolutely killing the stat sheet. Not that she doesn't, but the one thing I will say about this team, which is a little bit different, you go back to last year with Cardoso, the 2 years previous with Boston. This is the first year they will not have a lottery pick playing in their front court. And we'll see. I don't think it's going to make much difference. Obviously, this is just a situation where to be the champs, you got to beat the champs. And until otherwise noticed, the juggernauts are on top, South Carolina. Coming in at number 2, the other USC, Southern California Fighting Jujus. If you listen to this podcast, you know I love me some Juju Watkins. Los Angeles, baby. Here we go. This is the only... I am a homer in this particular instance, but not really, because they have... 2 of the top 5 players in the country on this same team. Now, I know you're listening to this Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. You saw that kind of dud of a performance on Monday, but let me just say, that was the first time this team had played together. Okay. It took place in Europe. Okay. And it was playing a really defensive-minded, scrappy SEC Ole Miss top 20 team. It's not like they were playing some tomato cans, okay? So Juju had too many turnovers. I get it. It was sloppy. They're going to get so much better. Cool your jets, folks. It's day one. Don't sweat it. It's not necessarily going to be final four polish out the gate, but they will be much better. USC Trojans coming in at number 2. Coming in number 3, the Yukon Huskies. Now, if you want to put the Huskies too, I'm not going to have too much of a problem with that. Obviously, you got the number 1 overall pick, Paige Beckers, leading the crew. And you got a lot of these injured players back. You're really stacked. I mean, this obviously you got Fudd, who's another first rounder as well. You got Aubrey Griffin Patterson back. You got KK Arnold. You're adding Sarah Strong, another immediate impact freshman who will absolutely be balling. So yeah, this team is going to be nasty. The name of the game with Connecticut is, can they stay healthy? If they can stay healthy, there's no question they'll be in the Final Four. So they're coming in at number 3. They got, as always, a tough opening schedule. We'll talk about that a little bit. Number 4, we got the Texas Longhorns. I actually really, really like this team. We got Felia coming over from Michigan. She's going to be excellent in that backcourt. I also think she's got first-round potential. You got Rory Harmon coming back for that super senior season, leading the squad, fully healthy in that backcourt. That backcourt's going to be sick. You got Aaliyah Moore. You got a whole bunch of role players. And of course, you have who I think will be the SEC Player of the Year in Madison Booker. I think her offensive game is absolutely ridiculous. I think she's going to go for 25 plus a night this year. Behind Juju, she is my number 2 rated sophomore. I think she is absolutely unbelievable. So I'm really high on Texas. Can't wait to see what they look like out of the gates. Number 5, we got the UCLA Bruins, the LA squads putting in work. Obviously, in this particular instance, you have 2 absolutely huge transfers in Barker and Ledger Walker, and these 2 are going to make huge impacts to go along with Lauren Betts, who I have slated right now, the 2026 number 1 overall pick. Obviously, also in that draft class will be Kiki Rice. This is a squad, folks. Now, we'll see what depth looks like, but man, that's a nasty starting 5 that can kind of go with anybody. There are number 5. The Notre Dame Fighting Irish coming in at number 6, and Olivia Miles is back in the mix. Obviously, you got Hannah Hidalgo, who some people were probably raising an eyebrow when I was making that Madison Booker plea, but obviously she's an absolute dynamo offense, defense. You got Leitu King, who, by the way, was in our mock first round draft last year. Huge impact transfer that I don't think many people know about. She's a little bit undersized, but she's going to ball out. She's super high efficient. She's got a nice grit. She gets rebounds. She plays defense. She's tough. Adds a little bit of toughness to this squad. Now, Notre Dame's tough because obviously you got Bransford that's, out for the season. Watson also might be out for the season. And Westbeld, you'll absolutely need back if you want to be real contenders in March. She is slated somewhere when ACC play comes back, but their top end talent is just super, super good. So we're going to have them at 6 to start the year. Number 7, we got the NC State Wolfpack. Now, this was one of my sleeper teams at the beginning of last season, and boy, did they shock some folks. Obviously, you're bringing back the whole law firm of Brooks, James, and Sanaya Rivers. Love that threesome. Unbelievable players. In fact, James and Rivers draft eligible. I have James rated a little bit higher, as a matter of fact. Love her game. She's a little bit undersized, but man, can she put it in the bucket. Interesting, they lose Baldwin. So where is that front court presence going to come from? They picked up a player named Caitlin Weimer from Boston. She's going to be an impact player to watch. Last year with BU, 18 and 10 with almost 3 blocks. So that's who they're looking to fill the void. We're going to see. I'm going to be very curious to see how this team looks. Obviously, it's going to be perimeter centric, but they got to be in that top 10. We got them at number 7. Coming in number 8, the LSU Tigers. Talk about another team with an impact sophomore, Michaela Williams, going to be filling it up all over the court again. You got Anissa Morrow, another first-round draft pick. You got Flau'jae Johnson, who I have rated as the second overall pick right now in that 2026 draft. But after that, it's going to be very interesting to see where they get production from. They didn't have a single recruit this class in the top 50. And it could have been deeper. I just went to the top 50. So I'm going to be interested. They're obviously, they're a solid program. But I'm going to be interested to see how this team starts off, how they gel, what kind of outside shooting they can get. They're starting at number 8. We got the Oklahoma Sooners, a little sneaky pick here coming in this high at 9. I really love Reagan Beers in the middle there. I think she's going to absolutely dominate. You got Sahara Williams, who I think is going to have a really, really impressive sophomore campaign. You got some impact freshmen coming in, and you got a nice little unit there in Norman. So I'm going to be very curious to see how they bang and battle in that tough and rugged SEC, but they're starting off number 9. Coming in at number 10 in the inaugural power rankings, the West Virginia Mountaineers. Now, this is a little bit higher than most people have them. I love J.J. Quinterly, but listen to this. 11 1-1 upperclassmen on this team. Nasty, stifling defense. Big, long, fast. They're going to put absolute oodles of pressure on every opponent they face. I really like this team. This is definitely a team, we saw them give Iowa all they wanted in the second round last year of the tournament. I think they build on that, and I think this is going to be a sneaky, dangerous team come March. The West Virginia Mountaineers coming in at number 10. And there you have it, folks. Week 1 power rankings in the books. Macro expectations. I think this is going to be the most competitive and probably best college basketball season in recent memory. And I know it's coming off the heels of back-to-back, just absolutely epic seasons. But if you look at the top 5, and you can even throw Notre Dame and LSU and NC State in that, the talent on those teams, they're just littered with WNBA players. I mean, right now on South Carolina's roster, there's anywhere from 4 to 7 WNBAers. You go, obviously, to USC. You have Juju Watkins and Kiki, who are going to be absolute, no doubt, lottery picks, top 1, top 2. Then you move on to Paige Becker's going to be the number 1 overall pick. And then a whole cast of other Huskies. Fudd will be a first rounder this year. Then you go to Texas. I think Felia, like I said, I don't know about Rory. She's going to get drafted, and then you got Madison Booker, who I think is a lottery pick as well. And then you go over to UCLA, who might have the most WNBA talent on their team. Lauren Betts, I think, is the number 1 pick. I think Barker is going to be a high first-round pick. You got Kiki Rice, who I think will be a first-round pick in that 26 draft as well. So you just have, and then I wasn't even mentioning Olivia Miles, Hannah Hidalgo. I think King gets drafted. You got the whole law firm, James and Rivers will get drafted this year. And then, of course, the LSU players, 3 definite WNBA players on that roster. And then Reagan Beers at 9. And J.J. Quinterly potentially as well. So anyway, I'm just going on a diatribe. There is so much talent that we will get to watch over the next couple of years that will be the future of the WNBA. And it's really, really excited. Let me know in the comments. Let me know what you think I missed. I know Iowa State, they were my number 11 team. I might be eating that one. They might be jumping in next week, but we shall see. Let me know who you like, and let me know some sleeper Final Four picks, right? Or some sleeper teams just in general. That's the WNCAA portion. Now we're going to go over to that WNBA Coaches Corner. As I said off the top, the news no one was surprised by. Stephanie White accepts the job back in Indiana. She is the new head coach of the Indiana Fever. It's going to be fascinating, folks. It's going to be fascinating. And I got news for everybody. The honeymoon will be short. The honeymoon will be short. Yes, you get Caitlin Clark, you get Aaliyah Boston. That's a great young nucleus. They have no defense. Stephanie White got a lot of credit for the defense in Connecticut. Frankly, it was a defensive roster. It's going to be very interesting. Indiana was awful at defense last year. 87 points per game, second worst defense in the league. It'd be hard not to improve upon that. A lot comes through effort. A lot comes through positioning. A lot comes through movement. Got to be better. You got to be better. But as I was saying about the honeymoon, I'll tell you what, that's going to be a tough. Coaching Caitlin Clark is going to be a blessing and a curse. She's obviously great. She can take you far. But if you don't win games, the heat's going to be on. I give her, I don't know. I give her, it's going to be funny. If they come out the gates and they're a little bit slow, I'm telling you. Now, she's not going to have a hot seat, but she's going to be hearing it from fans. She's going to be hearing it from media. There's going to be a lot of second guessing if they don't get off to a hot start. So it's going to be fascinating. It's going to be a super, super high pressure job. I think she wants that. And I think she's got the makeup for it. I think she's a really smart coach. I can't wait to see what happens in Indiana. As for the blockbuster news, that's me clapping. I got to give it up, Jeff Pagliacca. I was giving him major grief about the teaspoon firing, not having a plan, XYZ, yada, yada, yada. And he said, put that in your pipe and smoke it, James. And I will smoke it because I was saying Tyler Marsh was the top candidate. I said he could have his job. Now, I don't know why he didn't choose Los Angeles, particularly if they get the number one draft pick, or Atlanta, where they have obviously a young guard with first team WNBA potential. But he went Chicago. He went with the front court. He went with Cardoso, Angel Reese. He went with Kennedy Carter. He went with a lot of draft picks. He went probably actually with the most place to grow as far as into that coach, into that role. If you would have gone to Los Angeles and you would have had Paige Beckers, I said this last week on the podcast. If you have Beckers, you have Brink, you have Rakia Jackson, you got 3 years. You better make it happen or they're getting somebody else. In Chicago, I do think you're going to have a longer leash. I think there's going to be absolutely zero expectations next season. But also, what I think happened is, I'm not saying anybody's listening to the podcast, but I think if we get the financials, I think they did a little Corleone action and made him an offer he couldn't refuse. I have to think they said, we got to pony up for this guy. We got to pay this guy a lot of money. So I'll be very interested to see if it comes out, the contract, the years, and the dollar amount. I don't know if that's, to my knowledge, when I'm recording this, that hasn't been reported yet, but very curious because I think they made a huge offer and they said, you got to take it now. And he took it. So, ownership might be bucking the trend. Maybe Pagliacca is really turning this ship around. Now, I did, as much grief as I gave him last week for the firing, I loved what he did in the offseason. I loved the draft. I love Kennedy Carter. I love the Kalia Copper trade. So this guy's been doing work. I love the Marina Mabrey trade. When it happened, after it happened, now. So this guy is really earning his money, and he gets a coach that the team can be really, really stoked about. And if you're a Chicago fan and you're wondering, hey, I don't know about this guy. I don't know. He's an assistant coach. All you have to do is go on Twitter and look at all of the Las Vegas Aces players' Twitters and you will find out how much they love this guy and how much he helped each one of those players grow. You guys snagged a really, really good one. So I'm very, very eager to see what this guy can do in year one. Like I said, super low expectations, but definitely huge for the future. So now if Chicago can shell out some bucks for some facilities, some amenities, then we'll be talking in Skytown. But huge, huge, huge pickup. As of Monday, November 4th, there were no other new coaching hires. It's only 2 short weeks, less than 2 weeks now from that WNBA draft lottery. So we are going to be glued to it. As far as programming, this will be what it is. We're going to go through the power rankings of the college basketball. And then if a WNBA coach is named or some news, notes, whatever they may be, that's going to come after. And maybe a little soapbox corner if we get a little spicy, a little sassy. So as always, thank you for the support. Like, share, and hey, hit that subscribe button. It's free.